What is going on YouTube? This is LA Prepper, and we are live from LA with lots of exciting things to talk about today. At least that's what I would be saying if I had lots of exciting things to talk about today. But we are live nonetheless. I'm going to be making an effort to get a little more active, in the future, or in the present, both I guess. Just made a new Reddit account and I can't remember my login name. Oh, curses. Well, at any rate, I need to also update my YouTube description. I think I'm going to try to put some topics of discussion for today. Of course, I'm always wondering what you've been working on, what kind of prep you've been working on. Maybe we could talk about some regional stuff, what's going on in your neck of the woods. Looking for a webcam. Not very hard, but I am, sort of. You have to forgive me for taking care of some administrative duties. It always takes the stream a few moments to kind of start up since I'm not streaming at regular intervals or setting reminders and doing things like that. I just kind of decide when I want to and go for it. Life me, I cannot. I think it's in the Creator Studio. Alright, we're making progress. Almost info and settings. Alright. Just doing a little typing here and we'll be back. We'll be back after this short break. What I would say if I had a break lined up. If anyone watching wants to submit a question to the topic of discussion, who am I doing tonight? That's an interesting question. Maybe a better question would be, what am I doing tonight? Not doing much tonight. Just checking in, RG, to answer your question. What else? What else? I could be really cliche and ask things like, what's your favorite knife? And how many ways can you start a fire? Something like that, right? Okay. And get some tags here. If I can remember where I put those. Why is everything so hard? I think it's under videos. There we go. Sad when you can't remember where you save your tags. Alright. Much better. Muffled? Oh no. Well, it could be because the AC is on. Um, Crap, I really don't. Yeah, I don't have much I can do about that mic. I don't think. That's kind of crappy. I guess if it gets too bad, I'll just have to stop the stream and/or get a new headset. Usually the ones with the mics that extend are a little bit better, but let me do a quick check. Make sure my volume. I'm not quite sure if the volume control on this headset controls the mic input or not. I know that seems a little weird, but you never know. It's not working. Here we go. Maybe that's a little better. I think I had the mic jack plugged into the headphone jack. Yeah, special. I'm special. I know. Can Good, good. Thank you, JD, and welcome, JD. Good to talk to you. I know we were kind of chatting earlier today, but good to hear your. I hate to say it. I was about to say alive and kicking, but perhaps that's not a very you know. Anyways, anyways. So I posted some questions. You can feel free to take a look at them and let me know if you have any thoughts on those questions. I just bought this mic, this cable for my phone, and it's got shit on it already. Not feces, but red shit. Metal. You should ask your doctor for adamantium and for some DNA that like repairs itself. Be a great party gag. Yeah, I mean both are effective ways to assert your control over someone, either plane kicking or ass kicking. What's going on, Steve? Oh, so RG, how is the job going? Job's going well enough. It's I don't really want to get into like more interesting details about how the job is going per se. Excuse me. But it's going well enough. I'm on a temp contract, so about the most. Oh my god, she's. I know, got to get the inertia even. Um, but yeah, I'm on a temp contract that's up in about 2.5 months, so that's going to be my main focus for the next little bit. Weather's better in Arizona. Yeah, the weather's better here too, although it's kind of warm recently. When I say warm, I mean like 85 degrees or something. But it was actually 92 today. Yeah, it was a little warm, but that's what the AC is for. And honestly, even in months when I've run the AC a ridiculous amount, like I used to run it during the day because my apartment would just get so hot, I would run it on low all day. Because otherwise, I would get home, my apartment would be like 90 degrees, and it's just terrible. At 2 in the morning, it'd be like 80 to 90 degrees. So just ridiculously stuffy and hot. Unless I leave the front windows open, but I don't want to do that because it's too easy to break in if I leave the front window open too far. Anyways, I'm sure y'all care about my temperature control, but so the bill wasn't that much. I mean, I think in a low month it's like maybe even negative or pretty low because I was on like the low income thing when I was a student, but like $26 or something, for the whole month. September 22nd is the first day of fall. Well, September and October can be hot and stuffy months in LA. You You never really know. LA is kind of weird. You can have a hot day in November, maybe not so much in November, but thanks, RG, for mentioning that. Speaking of which, I think the time has come to promote Steve Foco. So, on the power vested in me by YouTube, Steve Foco, you are now christened a moderator. Now, it's going to be funny if all my people are moderators, and how do you boot another moderator? Can a moderator time out another moderator? I don't know how that works. Maybe one of you moderators should try timing out somebody else and report back to me. Figure this out. Yeah, bam, right? Another interesting thing about work that is sort of worth mentioning is that they changed our shift a little bit recently. So I actually have a 3-day weekend every other weekend. So that's going to be kind of, I'm sort of looking forward to it and a little nervous about it. On the one hand, I'm looking forward to it because it's a lot of extra time. But on the other hand, I'm a little nervous about it because I can't just sit around the house for those three days. I've got to be productive. So, I guess I'm just going to be, and I don't want to spend all that time looking for a job. I probably should spend most of that time looking for a job, but man, it's just going to be too much. So I got to find some good, useful activities to do. Maybe I'll go camping or something. Garden next year is weather is going better in Arizona, and next year is the garden is going in next. Okay, and next year the garden's going in for sure. Cool. Yeah, do it, man. I believe me, if I had property, I would be planting stuff constantly. In fact, I just made a video I haven't uploaded yet, but my 3 different potted plant attempts failed miserably in front of my door, which is very sad. But what's up, Will? Um, good to have you checking in. All those I know those are like waving hands, but it almost looks like a high five, like 5 high fives in a row. And I have to admit, I don't know if I would trust someone if they gave me 5 high fives in a row. That's too many high fives. Like, why are you so enthusiastic? Skeptical. Steve, that is a very, very apt analysis of what's going on. And in fact, it's the fourth quarter that's sort of influencing things at work, believe it or not. Um, so anyways, yeah. I mean, look, worst comes to worst, I got rent covered for a few months. I'm not foolish enough, God forbid I don't find any work. I'm not foolish enough to, um, like burn through all my savings just to stay in the apartment. I think I'm actually on month to month now because I didn't renew my contract for a year with, in part with certain situations like this in mind. Like, look, I don't have a full-time job. I really don't need to be in a year lease because I was only on I thought I was on a 3-month contract, and turns out I was on at my age. Yes, you should know that I'm work harder now than when I had a paying job. You should know that. Know about the fourth quarter thing or know about other stuff? I'm a little confused about what you're saying that I should know that by now. But anyways, yeah, you're right, Steve. It's going to be a little tricky. I got my foot in the door, so I'm going to be pushing really hard to make nice with people that could potentially hire me. Funny enough, I'm on the Indeed alert for my company because I was before I got the job, and I just stayed on it. Gotcha. Okay. And so, anyways, I swear the last Indeed alert had 120 new jobs or 123 new jobs or something. Let me double check. Now they're not all in California, but that's a lot. That's the most I've ever seen in one of these little alerts, right? 125 new jobs. I mean, seriously, it's like, let me see let me search for the previous email just to like give you an example. Oh, I can actually read it in the description. Okay, so the the previous numbers are like 23, 20, 29, 17, 15, 20, 40, 34, 5, 17. So, between 15 and 30, give or take. So the fact that this recent email says 125 jobs, it's just really weird to me. Like the company is sort of it's a dynamic company. There's changes going on at the company. I don't really want to say more than that because it's not really appropriate for me to talk about stuff that I know that's not like known to the public, right? And I probably, other than how to make parts out of carbon fiber, I really don't know a lot that the public doesn't know. So not too big of a worry for me. But at any rate, yeah, change is afoot at a big company, not surprisingly. So uh, it's just really interesting to me to see all these new jobs advertised. So I'm not really trying to leave California, although there are some jobs. Like one of the jobs that's advertised is the fairing recovery expert, or like equipment recovery expert or something. So I think that would be kind of cool. And I wonder who else is streaming right now. Let's take a look. And in the meantime, feel free to hit that thumbs up button. Take a look in the description and see if any of the topics there inspire conversation. It's it's something I have to admit I've been struggling with a little bit recently on the live chat because most often the conversation kind of takes on a life of its own when the viewers get up there a little bit. But since I haven't really been making videos as of late and I haven't really been getting into anything sort of super interesting as of late, I think Sunday afternoon people are just busy too. 5 o'clock Pacific. Everyone on the West Coast probably having dinner. So suppose I'm having dinner too. This delicious Coors Light banquet made in Golden, Colorado, brewed with 100% Rocky Mountain water. Coors, taste the Rocky. They're not sponsoring me yet, but I hope that one day maybe. Um, I'd love to get some sponsorship, but I think you need to be a little bit more consistent in your video production, unfortunately. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if at some point. I mean, I'm not going to give up. I don't care if I never get above, a few hundred subscribers. I'm still going to try to get sponsors for the rest of eternity, just for the heck of it. Yeah, I don't really. I mean, you broadcast a lot more than I do, Will, but I don't really have like certain days that I take a break from it. I just kind of when the mood strikes. I need to. Was it? I wouldn't really know. I wasn't of drinking age back then, and I have to admit the Coors. I find the Coors regular a lot better than the Coors Light. Most light beers are pretty horrific. I think, in my personal opinion. I don't know the last time I had a light beer and I thought, wow, this is a fine quality brew, But maybe that's just me. I also don't drink a lot of very expensive beer. I know the difference between expensive beer and cheap beer. The main difference is expensive beer is more expensive. Has a little more refined taste, typically, maybe a little bit higher alcohol content, but yeah. And I gotta, I mean, who knows what people are doing right now, but usually 18 minutes in, we're getting a little bit more activity. Maybe people are taking a little break from prepping. It's hard to prep. It's kind of hard to prep at 110% all the time, right? You can't. It gets to be a little much if you're always, worrying about, oh, I got to get more food, I get more water, I get more ammo, I got to develop my land off, bug out wherever, I got to take more training and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like if you were really trying to be the super prepper, like 110% of your energy would be devoted to prepping all the time, every day. That's kind of how I feel about it, anyways. I mean, I that's not my personal view, like of what prepping is. Committing all the hours of your day to it per se. But yeah, exactly. Like I was at the store today and I picked up 2 gallons of water. extra. I also happen to refill 4 gallons that I sort of cycle because I don't drink the tap water here. And I thought, 6 gallons, or like 2 gallons a week, 52 weeks a year. That's like 100 gallons, 104 gallons a year. So that, if you did that every year and you got 100 gallons more water every year, do it for 10 years, you got 1,000 gallons of water. That's a chunk of water. Be a real pain to move 1,000 gallons of water, unless you put them in IBC containers or something, right? Uh, uh, FLP. So why do you say FLP? Is that Prepper X's name? I'm kind of confused. Who's That's not an I. I think that's an L. Inspired John. What's going on, brother? Joe, how's it going? Why do you have a picture of a woman waving at me, Joe? It's kind of an odd icon to use. That's okay. So Prepper X is FLP. Interesting. Prepper X. X is so mysterious. Oh, P equals FLP. So Prepper X used to be FLP, which was something something Prepper. Anyway, gotcha. That's cool. That's cool, Will. I think it's a worthy project. I'm almost reticent to talk about that kind of thing because the new YouTube laws on firearms, they talk about like I don't think you're supposed to talk about modifying firearms or like how to modify firearms and stuff like that. So I wonder, if talking about a lower kind of constitutes that. So that's really cool, Will, but unfortunately I don't think I can share too much of my support beyond that. But yeah, Second Amendment, firearms. You should own firearms and train yourself and go to the range. You really should, and not just firearms. Knives, bow and arrow, clubs, bats, defense mechanisms. Defense machines. Because not because you're gonna go out tomorrow and fight Antifa or something, but because you never know. People are crazy. People are crazy, and you never know. I'll give you an example. Recently on the highways here in LA, there's been signs like the normal highway. We have sort of like signs that have messages on them, like slow down, watch for motorcycles, stuff like that. All they do is have messages on them. It's never, sometimes it's like distance to some part of LA, like 9 minutes to LAX or something, but other times they have messages on them. So, anyways, recently they've been having this message that says, watch for people on all roadways, watch for people walking on all roadways. And it's kind of a weird message. Like, first of all, if you mean all roadways, does that include highways and freeways? Kind of like the same thing, right? And if so, why are people walking on the freeway? Why are people walking on the highway? Like, to me, if people are walking on the highway, maybe the better solution is to stop people walking on the highway rather than to tell the cars, oh, by the way, there's people on the highway. I mean, I kind of get where they're going with that, but I feel like watch for pedestrians would make more sense. But yeah, I don't know. Just so the other night, I'm driving along this road to my house. It's two lanes each way road, and I'm in the left lane. I'm driving, and I look in my rearview mirror just to like be aware of my surroundings, and I see two people walking down the street, and thought first thought was like, why are these people walking in the street, like in the gutter? Like there's a sidewalk right next to where they are. I don't like what's going on. Um, and I thought of that sign. I was like, wow, the sign was right. There are people walking in the roadway. For what reason, I have no freaking idea. One Coors and he is laid back. Yeah, right, Steve? Yeah, I really don't drink a lot. I used to drink more, but not so much these days. Empty stomach. Yeah, pretty empty stomach, it's true. Had two slices of pizza today. I think that's all. No, had two slices of pizza. Actually, just like an hour or so ago, had a bowl of macaroni with a quarter cauliflower and two corn tortillas. Yeah. So I know that seems like a weird combination, but there wasn't really anything else I wanted to do with the corn tortillas, and I was going to put cauliflower in anyway. So that's the story. What's going on? Prepping to endure. I think it's bowel movement. I don't know what a bowl movement is. Is that when you take a bowl from one side of the table and you push it to the other? But, down it, snort it, sniff it, pop it, gulp it. You forgot shoot it, inject it. That's heroin's on the rise. Heroin and meth. Maybe I don't know if heroin's on the rise, but I know meth's like on the rise like crazy. These days, I feel like it's injected and pills. Those are the things that are like growing pretty fast. 10 to 12 hours. No, I didn't work 10 to 12 hours today. I worked yesterday. 1,000 calories. Pills are super scary stuff. And I personally think one of the reasons pills are so scary is because it takes so little effort. Like if you're trying to get drunk off tequila, let's say for you that's 4 shots of tequila. It takes a certain amount of effort to take 4 shots of tequila. If you're trying to get super, let's say high on meth, you have to get the meth, which is kind of sketchy in the first place, and then inject it and get a needle and all that shit. Like it takes some energy. But pills, you just eat them and swallow, and that's like 3 seconds of work, right? Not a lot of work to pop pills. So I think sort of, I think it's too easy. Like it's way too easy to pop pills, and I think humans can't. I don't think there's a connection between the consumption and the result because it's so easy to just like boom, done. Just my 2 cents. And especially in the case of medication, I think a lot of people that the abuse starts from being prescribed something. It's not necessarily like they're scoring pills on the street. So their doctor says, "Oh, here are some pills for depression, or here are some pills for anxiety, or whatever it is." And whatever effect the pill has, you start to like that effect and maybe become dependent on it. And then, you're telling yourself, like, well, the doctor said it's okay. And if it helps me, but your dependency turns into kind of like a reverse thing to where it's kind of causing you more issues to be dependent on this pill than the original thing was anyway. So it's, you didn't know the Trailer Park Girls Back Home? Uh, where I grew up, there probably was some trailer parks within 5 miles or 10 miles, but most of my neighborhood wasn't trailer parks, if that's what you're talking about. Not a lot of trailer parks in the Bay Area, sadly. Perhaps life would be different. You know what sucks about trailer parks too? You buy the trailer and then you pay a ridiculous amount for rent, like 500 or 600, $700. I mean, some places charge like 800,000 bucks a month. So you own in a way, but it's like you're paying a really, really high property tax. It seems like the worst idea in the world to me. Like you're always going to be really, really broke because you always have that rental payment. The only way I see that working is if you have a decent retirement or social security and the rent is relatively low. Like say your social security is 600 and your rent's like 250 or something. Like that's not too bad. But yeah, the lot rent, I used to think like it was an affordable way to live, and then I realized that the lot rent is kind of expensive and like damn, what's really the benefit if you're kind of always having to pay that rent? Rent is such a terrible thing. Mortgages cost money too, but man, rent, you never see rent again. Rent equals bohica. Is that like bitch in Portuguese or something? Not port. Yeah, I want to say Portuguese. Uh oh, my chat's getting all wonky. Maybe I should turn this other windows down. $800 a month, but everything's included. Yeah, but everything's. I mean, still though, you could buy a small 2-bedroom house in kind of a not super expensive city for that much. It's like if the whole point of living in a trailer is to live affordably. I mean, I feel like you could buy some land in the middle of nowhere and have someone service your porta potty and service your um uh, what do they call it? Like cesspit, what's the other word for cesspit that I'm looking for? Not sewage pool. Septic tank. You could have someone service your septic tank, service, I don't know, deliver water. Because what do you need? Water, power, and like poop, right? So power you can get from solar. That's not too big of a deal. A few $1,000 to get your solar set up, even with AC and a fridge and all that shit. Not a big deal. So that's power. Then water, have someone deliver your water. I'm sure water companies, as long as there's a road to your house, will deliver water. And what's the other thing? Water, power, and yeah, the sewage. So people paying 600-700 bucks a month because they think it's like convenient and affordable. I don't see it really. Overall wearing millionaire with 3 parks. Yeah. Shit, maybe I should build a trailer park. That's where the money is in developing the vertical integration. To buy a trailer park is one thing, but to build a trailer park, that's the way to go. Yeah, I think California is interesting. First of all, I think we have a lot of homeless people here because it's kind of easy to live in California. Um, you're not going to see 50,000 homeless people in Fargo. Just never going to happen, right? So, there's enough sort of services to support the homeless. Um, but yeah, rent is ridiculous. And the thing is, California is a very heartless state. Like, it really doesn't care where you came from, what you know, what you've done. If you can't compete with the guy or girl next to you, California doesn't care. It really doesn't. California doesn't owe anyone in California anything. It's what's up, Brian? Um, oh, there you go. Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't even know, dude. My coworkers, like a good percentage of them, have really expensive cell phones, car payments, uh, like go on trips, eat, like have food delivered multiple times a week. I can't understand how they're just throwing cash down the toilet on this stuff. Like, why did you sign up to buy like a $14,000 car when you just need to go to work? Buy a $2,000 piece of shit. That's what people used to do back in the day. Back when money wasn't so easy, if you wanted to get to work, you took the bus and saved up for a car, and then you bought a piece of shit car, and then you saved up a little more and bought a slightly less shitty car. And then someday when you were 60, 50 years old, you bought a car that wasn't a piece of garbage and you appreciated it. But these days, I mean, you can lease an iPhone for Christ's sake. Who leases a phone? When did phones become so expensive you have to lease a phone? I don't understand that. Is that a 1-bedroom apartment, Brian? Where the heck do you live? You must live in a big city or something, like New York or Austin or like downtown. That's like a downtown price. That's not a suburban price for a 1-bedroom apartment. That's like a kind of Atlanta, 2 beds in Atlanta. Downtown Atlanta? Dude, I know not all of Atlanta is that nice. I mean, no offense to Atlanta, but there are parts of Atlanta that aren't that expensive. But good lord, that's a lot of money. Maybe too many people outskirts. Damn, I am really surprised. That's a lot. There must be a lot of people moving to Atlanta because a few years ago Atlanta was like a lot cheaper. Have people been moving to Atlanta in droves? Has Atlanta been growing like gangbusters the last few years because it's been so cheap? I wonder. Yeah, tech junkie zombies will do it. The recent thing at my place of employment is smartwatches. Everyone's getting the people who are tech people are getting these smartwatches. So I'm always kind of trolling them like, Siri, go go find me a girlfriend. Like, because, that's what they're always doing. They're always like dicking with their watches. Like, you're dicking with your watch so that it tells you what your phone's doing, but your phone's in your pocket anyways. Like, are you serious? Do you really need that much? Like, I mean, certain situations, like say you're on a motorcycle and you don't want to, be unlocking your phone. You just want to look at your watch and read a text. Sure. Okay. But anyways, yeah, nobody wants Cali people. And guess what? I don't want a bunch of people moving to California either, because you're making my rent more expensive. You're making it harder to find a job. I wish California would close the border to anyone, even for Americans, for like a couple years, to where we can do a little better for ourselves. I don't like this idea. Like, I see all these foreign plates in the parking lot where I work, Maryland, Connecticut, New Jersey, Utah, Nevada. And I'm just like, why you gotta come to my state to get a job? Why don't you let me get a job in my state? There's people from out of state are displacing Californians because they are better qualified. Isn't that crazy? Crazy stuff. Speaking of who's watching you, I got an email today that one of my buddies was at some airport in San Francisco, and I wanted to respond to him on Facebook. Did you know that Facebook reported to me that you're at the airport right now? Just thought I'd let you know. That's our membership of the app tracked him and notified me. So, like, am I equally guilty in this addiction to online garbage? Am I, if I go somewhere and log into Facebook on my phone, does it tell all my friends that I just checked in at some location? Fucking A, can't handle it. Well, a lot of people are watching you. The app is watching you, the internet provider is watching you, the government's probably recording it. So at least those three. Yeah, that's why you shouldn't do bad stuff on the computer, because it's all tracked. Well, this country's been partially socialist for a while, and I think my opinion on, like, sort of how much we should take from the rich to support the poor is that if you can't afford to pay rent, I support you sleeping in some sort of structure. I support paying for your shelter. I don't support putting you in an apartment. I don't support giving you $800 a month for rent, but I support you having shelter. So I would support enough taxes on, the American public, or tariffs, or whatever, however you want to raise the money, to give everyone shelter, food, and, kind of keep them at some level of humanity. But this way that we're dividing out all these services in a million different ways, it's just not sensible. It's not the way, you know, you would design it if you were starting from scratch, but we're not starting from scratch. We're sort of, going, we're continuing on, the whole support system that, yeah, join the military, right? I mean, yeah, and I think, yeah, the military, they give you like a housing voucher, and then, or like if you live off base, you get a housing voucher, I think. Interestingly, the military has been kind of short of people here and there, short of pilots, short of enlistees. Every once in a while, you read about them lessening the physical standards, making it less pull-ups or less push-ups or less stringent on the weight, stuff like that. I'm not doing too bad, and I'm not chained to California. In fact, after my temp job, if I don't get converted or don't get a new job, I'll be a free agent. Kind of exciting. I could go anywhere I want. I could tour the country. That would be fun. It would be a lot of fun, I have to admit. I'd probably end up broke without a job, but who knows? You never know. I don't think it's the best way to get an engineering job. It's the best way to get out of the state, but I agree, Will. I really do. And if I thought the military would be, was right for me, I would have served. Oh man, and it is getting warm. I think I'm gonna have to turn my AC on. This apartment it's not that hot outside, but this apartment gets kind of uncomfortably hot, unfortunately. I'm almost tempted to climb that hill that I climbed last weekend, but I don't know, 50-50 on it right now. It would be it's a nice day for a climb, a little hike, especially because I'm so out of shape to begin with. My shins were hurting for a couple days after my last trip up there, but it was nice. It was nice to get out, get some fresh air, view LA. I might try to go a little later today so I can catch the sun going down a little bit. But I think I'm going to check off here in a few minutes since it seems like most of my subs are kind of busy or just doing other stuff. I hope that y'all are doing well. I hope that you're making advancements in your prepping, whether it's saving up a little bit, um, getting some supplies, getting some training. Skills don't cost anything. They don't take up any space. You can trade them freely with other people or trade them for compensation for other people. Everyone should really, I think skills and a social network, an actual physical social network. Like it's great that we're on YouTube, right? And we're talking about making fires and, building solar panels and collecting rainwater and growing food or whatever. Um, oh, that's just it's CBD, I think, and just Google it. Google can give you a much better answer than I can. So see you, Joe. But anyways, yeah, it's not always about the tangible stuff, and we got to make friends locally. It's great to have. I mean, Joe is local enough, for example, that if I got a CB radio, he's on the CB, we could talk to each other. So if shit hit the fan, Joe and I realistically could communicate, and he's only in San Diego. So, you know, if I don't know, if he needed a hand with something, or if one of his good friends needed a hand with something that I could help him with, or vice versa, and it was like a shitty situation, we kind of help each other out, right? But if Steve or Will or like any of my friends that are kind of further away, or like Brian in Atlanta, if shit hits the fan and Brian needs my help, how does he let me know? If it's not radio, that's that's what you got to wonder. That's why I got to save up, get a better paying job. So spending $800 on a CB radio isn't such a big dent in my bank account. But anyways, people, I'm gonna sign off for now. It was good checking in with you. I know we haven't really smoked signal. How, I don't even know Morse code. I don't even know if I have Morse code written down. I think it's in my Boy Scout book. In fact, that's probably one of the most valuable things that Uncle Al's Boy Scout book is Morse code. And I really got to memorize it one of these days, but I just haven't done it yet. So until next time, people, take it easy. Um, take care of yourself. Try to make some friends. Enjoy life. And as always, keep prepping. Till next time, folks, take care.